Now that the dust has somewhat settled, we may more calmly reflect on the events of the battlefield. I think the historical context to put this in is the cartoon crisis of 2005, when about a dozen cartoons were published, and then came what can only be described as the contrived outrage and the riots. Zeal like that scares people, it intimidates them, and it has an effect on their behaviour, and in this case one of those effects was the chilling effect on the free speech of the subject of Islam, a topic that needs scrutiny. Now this was a tactical victory for them, for but a few thousand crazies had a chilling effect on the free press of the Western world, even extending into the academic community. Strategically it was a failure, for people remember the names of people who try to intimidate them, and typically they are no more specific about distinguishing ideological moderates or extremists than those who previously made no distinction between cartoonists and burning Danish embassies, flags, boycotting Danish products, and so on. There are some aspects that make us all human. So it was from the grudge that they had sown grew the grassroots dissent that would eventually come to a head on Draw Mohammad Day 2010. It started with a seemingly innocuous, by now par for the course, run-of-the-mill death threat from Revolution Muslim. But it was the last straw. For to see South Park, a show whose raison d'etre is to offend people, scamper for the censor bar was just too much. It was the spark that ignited the gunpowder, and before the cloud had cleared, the strategic and tactical victories had been won for free speech. And for those of you who took part in this, I commend your actions. For victories such as this are won by those willing to take action, and none others.
And if to live the fewer men, the greater share of honour. God's will, I pray thee, wish not one man more. Rather proclaim it, Westmoreland, through my host, that he which hath no stomach to this feast, let him depart. His passport shall be drawn, and crowns for convoy put into his purse.
This was a tactical victory because previously a mere 12 cartoons had sparked riots and so on, and this time there were over 12,000. But this time it was a decentralized internet movement. There were no internet embassies to burn. There were no internet products they could refuse to buy or desecrate. They were powerless to prevent the reciprocating backlash of what they had started years earlier. I'm still baffled by the tactically dumb decision of the government of the nuclear power of Pakistan to ban Facebook, YouTube and the such like. For in doing so they not only handed the PR victory to the protest, they gift-wrapped it too. Strategically the decision made no sense either. The internet is the way forward. They must realise that they will need this as part of the infrastructure of their country. I mean, surely they must realise that they cannot remain unplugged indefinitely. All they've done is box themselves into a corner, for eventually they will have to make the humiliating climb down and come to terms with their childish behaviour, and when they do, the cartoons will still be there. And this is the core of the strategical victory. The precedent is set that in confrontations of this sort, Islam is powerless online. They were directly confronted with the proposition that nothing in their religion gives them the right to kill people, especially for something as banal as drawing a picture of their prophet. And if they try to threaten people online over this, they will get their asses handed to them. The free marketplace of ideas has demonstrated by their actions that there will be no tolerance for this sort of behaviour. Just as the effects of the tactical Islamic victory of 2005 had an incremental chilling effect on free speech all over the world, so I expect the strategical and tactical victory of the Draw Mohammad Day to have a knock-on effect for a very long time to come. This made world news, for things are different now, and the precedent has been set on the world stage for all to see. The wake-up call of the internet age has been sounded in the Middle East, and the worshippers of Islam have come one step closer to realising that they will have to grow thicker skin if they want to use the internet. And if they want to try and enforce Sharia law on the internet, they'll get burned for it. And once they've come to terms with the ground rules that free speech is non-negotiable and that their magic book does not give them the right to kill anyone, then we can have the rational discourse that was precluded by their earlier beliefs. But like all victories, this one came with a price tag. There were heroes and cowards in the battle, and it is productive at this point to reflect on these. Firstly, YouTube. In this case, YouTube performed admirably. That is, they did not interfere. So I give YouTube 9 out of 10. Very good job, guys. I had less to do with the Facebook side of things. but I found their performance similar to YouTube. They mostly protected the site from all the flagging, even though the site went up and down a few times. So again, 9 out of 10 fellas. Then came the folks who started it all off, South Park and their parent company Viacom. Well, they deserve credit for tackling the subject, but they utterly undermined all of that almost immediately. At the first sign of trouble, they tucked their tail between their legs and scampered for cover. But it was worse than that. To add insult to injury, when I was actually willing to tackle the subject, they chose to take that video down with a copyright notice. They actually had someone choose to do this. Yeah, the lack of virtue is sickening. That they were willing to stab someone in the back who was willing to fight to reverse the chilling effects that had affected them so badly that they, at the first sign of an angry Muslim, ran for cover. And then after I talked to their lawyers and established all of this, they failed to drop the copyright notice, and I actually had to file the counter notice. And now, almost 3 weeks later on, the paperwork is cleared and the video is back up. So I give Viacom 1 out of 10, and that's simply because you have people like Trey and Stone in your employment. Now we come to the individual players. Firstly, the Seattle cartoonist who kicked this whole show off with the suggestion of this protest, but who then very quickly, when it went viral, got cold feet. I passed no judgment on her whatsoever, for her life would have been made very tough if she had become the front person for this, with all the risks that would have likely entailed, and that's not what she signed up to when she first coined the concept. Secondly, those who founded the Facebook Everyone Draw Mohammad Day page, they held the line admirably. They had the site pulled a couple of times, but it always came up. Good job, fellas. As for me, I did what I had to do. Then there was the meat of those who made this victory possible. Those who acted. Those who actually did the drawing. Remember it well what you participated in, for this was the first time that a grassroots internet motion has confronted a major religion over its conduct, and the effects were felt on the world stage. And unless my vision fails me completely, the effects of this strategic and tactical victory shall be felt for years to come. But we shall see. History shall be the ultimate judge.